Hey guys, what's up? And welcome back to another weekly gaming podcast with
Shadow
Mr.
of War comes out October 10th. We didn't talk about that in the last episode. Sorry.
All right,
What are we
great.
talking about this week, Matt?
Well, welcome to a gaming podcast. This is what we tend to talk about. Today, we are going to be talking about a very, very long-running series at this point, arguably overused, so this should be an interesting one. But we're going to be talking about Assassin's Creed Origins. And so far, I would kind of retract what I initially say about most Assassin's Creed games, because I have not been looking forward to an Assassin's Creed game for a very long time.
I'd agree with you there.
And to be honest, the last one I was looking forward to was probably 3.
Same.
It was back when it was still...
And 3 was a little disappointing, I have to admit.
It was, and that's when I was kind of like, I'm probably done. And to be fair, Black Flag was not bad. It's just that I was so done with it at that point that I wasn't just pumped for it like I was the rest of them.
And you know what? Syndicate didn't even look all that awful either. I just, again, like you said, I was just I'm done with the series. I didn't have any interest in playing it. And I didn't play it. I haven't even seen a stream or a let's play of it, and I don't know that I will unless one of my favorites happens to do one. But I don't know. Kind of what you said at the beginning. It's kind of an overdone series. They were spitting out almost a game a year. Sometimes one would come out early 20 something, and another one would come out before the end of the year, and you were just like, "What is this? Call of Duty?"
Now. This one, we have an interesting scenario here, because if you're familiar with Assassin's Creed, then you'll know how this works. If you're not, I'm not sure what you've been doing for the past 10 to 20 years and how you don't at least...
Well, I mean, some people just, they're not into this game. They don't know the lore. That's fine.
Is it, though?
Yeah, because this, honestly,
I'm just giving people...
I know a lot of people played the first game. Mm-hmm. First game was awful, I have to admit. It was different, it was innovative, but it was janky, it wasn't polished, and the way they went about things was really repetitive and boring. Mm-hmm. And so then they fixed that in the second game, and the second game, and then the third second game. The Ezio trilogy was really good.
Oh yeah, now
It wasn't repetitive. It was a little smoother. I thought they were great games.
Now, bear in mind, what I was asking was not that people know the intricacies of the lore, but you just know what these games are about.
Oh, okay. Yeah, no, if you've never heard Assassin's Creed and the general Abstergo and all that crap, then,
yeah, especially...
I don't know, maybe read a Wikipedia
Especially
article.
by this point that there's been a movie with Michael Fassbender in it. It's very hard to believe...
Did you see the movie?
I did.
Did you?
Yeah. I didn't go see it. I didn't go see it in theaters. I waited till it came out, but I did.
Is it already out?
Yeah. Oh, dude,
It seems like it was just in theaters recently.
No, not at all. That was almost 2 years ago.
No.
I think, or last year. It definitely was.
Oh yeah, it was the big thing of last year's E3. So yeah, I guess it's about a year old.
Yeah, it's been enough for it to be. And
Yeah, you're right. Okay, sorry.
just to give a quick review of that. I thought it was okay. It didn't give a whole lot of nods to the game. It kind of just did its own thing. That I didn't care for. But I mean,
Since when do games translate to movies? Well,
Well, I mean, they did a good job outside of that. They had the Animus and they had the Templars versus the Assassins, and they had all that, but they didn't use any names of familiar characters at all. I was like, if you're going to go as far as to use all that, I don't know why you would avoid using character names, but...
So wait, the movie wasn't about, Altair and Desmond Miles?
Nope.
What the hell? I honestly thought it was a movie based around the first Assassin's Creed game.
Nope.
Why?
Nope.
Okay, all right, whatever.
But moving on. Anyway, so if somehow or another you have zero idea of how these games are story-wise, it is... simply this. It has assassins that typically go and do what they do, which is assassinate somebody that is causing a ruckus, either for...
Yeah, for the greater good.
For the greater good. Typically. Every now and then there's some blurred lines there. But in most cases, it's for the greater good. Now, the reason I say this one's very interesting is because they've either... it's either going to be a great thing or an absolutely terrible thing on the decision to do an Origins, because every single one of these games that comes out, the way they work is you typically have someone in the future or present time, quote unquote, and then they get in this machine called the Animus and then relive or experience these memories from the past of their ancestors. And in each game that goes forward, they either go further back or somewhere in between and then further back. And so, like, the whole timeline thing tends to go further and further as we go. That way they can keep adding.
I thought they were getting more current.
They've done both.
Because, like, the first one was, like, Crusades.
They've done both. They've moved back and forth.
That's what I thought. Okay. I thought to me, you were making it seem like they were, like, getting closer and closer to, like, the creation of the Earth with each one.
No. Like, they would typically move forward, but then you'd have a random moment to, like, where in another game they went even further back, or it wasn't necessarily in one fluid motion. It would kind of just hop.
Yeah, yeah. And they're all usually based around significant historical times. So you have, like the first, like, Assassin's Creed 1, not to be confused with Assassin's Creed Origins, was about the Third Crusade.
Mm-hmm.
So that's, like, the time period things were running in. The Crusades were messy. We don't like to talk about it because it makes Christians look even worse than we tend to be. And then, like, the second series was kind of like Rome and, like, the height of the Roman Empire and all that jazz. And then the third one, which wasn't the next one in the series, I think there was a game between that, was about the American Revolution. And then the next one was about, like, the pirates era, like the Spanish influence or whatever in the Caribbean and all that jazz. And then you had the French Revolution and the Industrial Revolution, so you're getting really close to modern day.
Mm-hmm.
But now we're going way, way, way back to ancient Egypt, which I think looks really interesting.
It does. And what I was going to say, the interesting thing here that it could be really great or really bad. So in all those games, in most cases, you're moving forward, and then throughout those games, they would give you pieces of history to kind of put together the lore and the storyline that would come from different points of time, whether it be the ones you were pulling from or something that was even further. And every game that would come out, since it was moving forward, even if they pulled something from behind, they could kind of evolve the story to where, like, hey, this is where it would go. But now, if you're going to create an origin, and that is the center focus of your game, then you are making that concrete. Now, like,
yes,
there's no going back. So whenever you do this, that is kind of, hey, this is where this started. You can't really do a reset button unless you're just going to tank the series.
Yeah, don't retcon what you've made here. Like, yep. you have to make sure that whatever gets created in this game lines up with what you've already created, because
yep.
like what you were saying, like, when Assassin's Creed Syndicate came out, whatever they do in that game doesn't really have any implications that they have to focus too much on timeline wise, because it's the most current, as long as you don't completely write something from the past off and pretend it didn't happen, you're good to go. But with this one, you have to be like, well, we can't, like, we have to make sure everything, all the events that we do are lined up to work with the present time.
It's gonna be really interesting. Very, very interesting if we end up with a Moses scenario in this one.
Well, you know what? While I was watching the trailer, I was really hoping for, like, Maccabees and like the Jewish slaves and all that stuff to be a part of this. I feel like if you're going to talk about ancient Egypt, you would really, like, that would be such a cool thing to have in this game. Like, it was such a big part of their history. It would be like a faction, that you could have influence over and control and help liberate or something like that. Like, at first, I was like, oh my gosh, is the assassin, like, Jewish or working with the Jews and working to free them? And it doesn't appear to be that way.
No, but
that's fine.
For those who are unfamiliar, though, Assassin's Creed does get on the mythical side of things in certain aspects.
Yes.
With the Adam's apple and certain artifacts that kind of go into more of a fantasy.
The Adam's apple? It's the apple of Eden, dude.
I know. It's a joke, but okay. Moving on. So now people are going to be looking into that. They have these, like, mythical items that go into the realm of magic and different forms of things. So I'm not overly surprised that they didn't go just straight history on it. I figured they'd probably just do what they wanted to do. But it's very interesting to see where it's going to go because, as I said earlier in the episode, I haven't looked forward to an Assassin's Creed in quite some time. And I'm not going to go as far to say that I'm looking forward to this one. I don't think I'll buy it right out the gate. I don't think I'll pre-order it, but
Yeah.
I am intrigued.
I'm going to watch this one. This is going to be a game that I'm not going to pre-order. I'm not going to buy on launch, but I am going to keep my eye on it. And I don't trust reviewers too much these days. I never really have. But unless a game gets like a Sonic Boom reaction or a No Man's Sky reaction, like unless this game comes out and everyone's like, it's unfinished, it's bad, it's awful, and I see some gameplay of it and I'm like, yeah, this was not what we were promised, then, unless something like that happens, I'm probably going to end up with this game. Just not at launch, probably not for $60. But, eventually down the road, yeah, I'll probably pick this game up. It looks like a lot of fun.
I think eventually, yeah, I think it might be one of the first Assassin's Creed I've played in quite some time, but I think I'm with Jay. I'd probably wait until it comes at a lower price because it's I don't know. It's nothing personal, Assassin's Creed. It's just that I haven't really liked your games in quite some time. So
yeah, but I think Ubisoft made a really good move with this. They kind of, they did a game a year-ish for a long time. And then after Syndicate came out, like right after Syndicate came out, now Syndicate didn't have any major problems at launch like Unity did. But they, like always, people are interviewing them and they're like, so what's next for the Assassin's Creed series? And they said, nothing. Like, we're going to take a break. You'll see it again, but we're going to take some time away. We're going to rethink the formula. We're going to rethink the games and build a new one from the ground up. Because when you come out with a game a year, all you're doing is taking the same engine, the same physics, whatever, and just slapping new faces on the characters and building a new world for them to run around in.
Oh yeah, because in case you weren't familiar with game development, like you would not have enough time to build a game from the ground up every single year.
It takes years.
Yep.
Yeah. And so, there's nothing necessarily wrong with that. But like, if you didn't like Assassin's Creed, Unity, then you're probably not gonna, like, if you had problems with it, then you're probably gonna have problems with Syndicate because it's the same exact game, just with a different story, but like engine wise and like code wise, it's the same game. But this game is completely new. I believe it's a completely new engine that they built. I don't quote me on that, but I think it is. And the one thing that I'm really looking forward to about this game is they did completely reinvent the combat. The combat in Assassin's Creed has always been just a little janky to me. It's not quite what I want it to be. It's not that it's necessarily poor or bad, but it was always just a little awkward, and I didn't care for it too much. But then watching the gameplay trailer, and I put gameplay in huge air quotes, watching the scripted gameplay trailer of it, it did look a lot more fluid. It looked a lot more responsive, less janky, whatever. Now, granted, that's something you won't really know until you pick it up for yourself, unfortunately. Correct. But if there's a demo in a Best Buy or a GameStop or something like that, I might try it out before I buy this game.
And I agree. I'd be interested to see, for one, how the gameplay is going to be, and that's going to be really funny if it ends up being like a closer to Shadow of Mordor or Shadow of War kind of fight schematic, to where they try to go for that fluid feel as opposed to what they have been, and it ends up just being kind of almost like a copy of that.
Yeah, because like prior to this, the combat was very like wait and then attack, which isn't necessarily a bad thing, but it kind of pulls me out of the game a little bit. It's like you just kind of stand in like a counter position. Someone attacks you and you do this really cool animation of you like taking their weapon or blocking it and stabbing them or something like that. It's like, I just want to be this awesome warrior who just comes in and just breaks down the enemy with swift attacks or even like a heavy attack or something like that and just overwhelms them and then disappears like a ninja. Yeah. I don't want to stand in the middle of this market waiting for someone to throw a punch so I can kill someone.
Pretty much the entire combat system was based around counters. Like, it was not really, it was more of a defensive thing than it was an offensive most of the time. Like, it's not to say you couldn't be aggressive with it, but if you did, you left yourself very open, and you'd get hit.
Yeah.
You'd get hit a lot from other people,
It
especially if
was a
you were
good
in
way to die.
yeah, especially if you were in a mob of people and like trying to take people one on one. Your own, like if you had like 10 plus people around you, and really your only hope is to focus on one at a time. The only way you're getting out of it alive is if you just block the entire time and then take the counter whenever it's available. Because otherwise, if you started attacking, then you weren't defending, and then you just get screwed.
Yeah, it was almost like friggin'
Which, granted, that would be how that would be in that scenario. So it's not
yeah. No, you're not wrong.
it's not unrealistic, I suppose, because you can't just go swinging and just everybody sitting there staring. Well, I guess I better wait till he's actually looking at me, because it'd be very rude to attack while he's not maintaining eye contact. I want to make sure it's fair. No.
Yeah, and like especially since you're fighting, I mean the people you're fighting aren't just like idiots with swords. Like you're fighting like trained soldiers or like members of the Templars, which are also trained assassins, quite frankly.
Mm-hmm.
So like if you just went into this crowd of 10 people and swung your sword 4 times and killed 10 people, you'd be like, all right, that was way too easy. So like it gives it a sense of realism in the combat. And again, I'm not saying it's a bad thing, but it just seemed like I'm not doing anything. I just have to wait to press the button, and then I can do this cool animation of me stabbing the guy in the neck with my hidden blade and call it a day.
You know, it's a really funny thing that I secretly kind of wish every game would include. And I know if you did it all the time, it would overuse, so it's not necessarily every game, but it'd be neat to me that if a lot of games had an equivalent of a death claw in their game. not to be a creature, but just something that you're just like, oh crap, there's one. Okay, we're not going that way.
Yeah, that is kind of a cool thing. I don't think it should be in every game, I do admit, but that is a nice feeling to come across. It's like, all right, is it worth me putting in the time, the resources, whatever, to fight this enemy? Is it going to be worth it?
Because there's really not another series that has something to that level.
You can get that feeling in Assassin's Creed, because like I said earlier, like the combat system is kind of weird. You kind of have to wait to attack. So like if I'm walking around and I see a couple of soldiers like guarding an entryway, I'm going to be like, it's not worth my time. It's not worth the arrows. It's not worth the poison darts, whatever.
But it's based with them.
I'm going to climb around it.
It's based more upon groups and numbers as it is individual enemies. Like, it's just more of a, kind of like you said, if there's like multiple of a specific type of enemy, like, that's too many in this secluded area. Like, that's going to be a pain in the butt kind of thing, as opposed to just being like one enemy is bad enough for like, not going to deal with that.
Yeah. I don't think it should be in every game, but it is definitely like a unique feeling. And that's, I think if it was in more games, it would feel overdone, and I just wouldn't be happy with it. But.
It would. That's why I said, like, it's kind of just like a secret, like, this would be a cool thing. But for now, I can't really, every time I ever find somebody who's never played Fallout, which is far and in between these days, but if I do find someone and they're playing and then like the word Deathclaw comes up, I was like, yeah, you need to avoid that for right now. And they're like, why? I was like, there's really no good comparison to give you from any other game other than you're not ready for this yet.
It's the unique experience that I liked,
Oh yeah,
it's good,
and it is, and the funny thing about that is you never really get to the point to where you're overly fond of them.
So let's go back to Assassin's Creed here. One of the new things that they're doing with this is kind of a new spin on Eagle Vision. Mm-hmm. Eagle Vision in the past was, you kind of using your heightened assassin senses to see where someone walked that's not there anymore and which way they went, or see things that most people couldn't see. Mm-hmm. The ability to track people, whatever. In this game, maybe that's still a feature or whatever, but Eagle Sense is literally like you have a bond, like a spiritual bond with a legitimate eagle, like an actual bird. And so you send the eagle in almost as like a drone, and you see what they see. So you can like look into this courtyard and see, all right, there are 6 soldiers here, 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 and here. I can go this way and avoid them altogether. I can go this way and stealthily kill all 6 of them. Or if I throw a smoke bomb here, or if smoke bombs exist in this game, it was sticking in ancient Egypt. And they're pretty good about keeping their weapons faithful to the time. But like whatever, like you can, it's one of those games where I don't feel like you have a total 100% free choice on how to handle the situation. You know, I do feel it's kind of one of those like stealth or brute force, your choice, pick one. Kind of like the Arkham games, but you know, you do have that choice, and the Eagle helps you make that choice. It's different. I kind of think it's a little weird, but it's also like cool.
Same, and it'd be an interesting change of pace. And there's a few things, obviously, from the old games that you don't want them just to completely get rid of. Like the exploration of the map, I never had a problem with, like the way everything would kind of be outlined, and how you would unlock certain tower points, and then that would give you a leap of faith, and then, you know, unlocking that would open the map up, kind of thing. That kind of exploration of the world, I would not have a problem with. So if they do change that, that would kind of be weird to me. But you know, we don't really know. I mean, it's just they are quote unquote reinventing the series. There's no telling what there's going to be left from the games in years past. But that would be something I'd be okay with still being around, because I never had a problem with that. And personally, it's just always fun. Just like, all right, let's get to this tall tower and then somehow survive by jumping into this thing of hay at the bottom that I can manage to hit perfectly while doing front flips.
Yeah, it is. It was always a little like, that's super unrealistic. But at the same time, it was just so cool that you didn't care.
Yeah, you really didn't. And it was really funny to play it with any friends that get like anxiety at heights. Because it's real freaking funny. So if you ever want to have a good time, you know, find somebody that doesn't like heights and then go play a couple of these games.
Guilty. I don't like heights, but I don't have a problem with it in video games. I don't really ever get like vertigo or agita or whatever from playing a video game. It's really just real life. Or like a good movie.
Maybe if you did VR, I wonder how.
I don't know. I haven't touched VR much, but that might do it. I don't know.
That'd be an interesting thing to see. But anyways, that's going to be it for today's podcast episode, guys. As always, thanks for stopping by and listening. And the question of the day today, I'm going to shake things up and throw it over to Jay and see what his crazy brain has to come up with.
All right. What weapon would you like to see used in this Assassin's Creed game? Like I was kind of talking about earlier, they tend to keep things faithful to the time period, but they also tend to kind of like add something new to every game. Like in Assassin's Creed 2, the second one, they had like the double hidden blade where you had two. And then in the third game, they added the second game, they added the hook blade, which I know a lot of people have wanted to see a comeback for. And I think that could be used in ancient Egypt. I think that's reasonable.
I'm going to give a different one.
Well, that wasn't my answer. I was just explaining.
Oh, gotcha. Well, I'm going to give my answer anyways. Yep. I'm going to say having a bow, like a legit bow, as a primary weapon option.
They did have that in 3.
Mm-hmm. And I'm talking like... it'd be a little different because 3 would be the Revolution time.
Yes, the American, but you were a Native American, so
yeah. But they also had pistols and stuff eventually, so like it was kind of
that is true. You did have a pistol.
It was kind of hit or miss, depending. Like, and I mean one that like would contend with your other weapons as a primary. Like that would be absolutely solid if you wanted to be that ranged kind of character. That would be very interesting to me, especially if they went like. Not necessarily this far, but if they went the Horizon Zero Dawn route, which if you haven't played that game, a bow is your primary, like just flat out is. But more importantly, like you have the option of crafting different kinds of arrows. So like you could have your normal arrow, you could have one like doused in poison, you could have ones that you would light on fire kind of thing. Like if they did something like that, that would be very neat, I think. That I would like to see. I doubt they'll do that. That's kind of a stretch, but just as a question of the day format, that'd be something I'd like to see.
Yeah. No, I mean, and that's what this whole thing is like realistic or not, like what would you like to play with in this game? For me, I'm going to go with the Khopesh, which is that ancient Egyptian like sickle curved sword. Those are super deadly. A lot of fun to wield, apparently. I've never actually touched one, but if I can be frank with you, it's probably in the game because like that was the weaponry of the day. So that's what we're probably going to be using. And I can't wait to do it.
It would be the time period. So that would not surprise me if we see them. And if we've learned anything from games, is since they were used by Malthael in Diablo 3 Reaper of Souls, is that they mean business.
Yes.
They are very intense, and that's just my nerd statement of the day. So at that, we're going to wrap that up. Thank you guys for listening and stopping by, and make sure leave a comment and let us know what kind of weapon you're looking forward to in Assassin's Creed Origins, and for that matter, just how you feel about Assassin's Creed still going on and how you feel about them going to an Origins. But
not to mention, next week is episode 10.
That
If you remember from episode 10 of season 2. So if you remember, episode 10 of season 1 was kind of a big episode. We went on for like 45 minutes. I don't even remember what we talked about, but we went on for a little while. And so we're probably going to do likewise here. So, we'll take a Q&A. If you have any questions you want to ask, we'll do that. If you have a game you want talked about, leave it in there. Any topics, whatever. Don't, give us something to work with. Otherwise, we're just going to talk about whatever we want, and that's not as fun.
Absolutely. This is way more fun whenever y'all give us stuff to talk about, and then it's just more improv, and it's just more on the spot and fun to do. So give us plenty of ideas, and me and Jay will probably talk about a couple of different things that we can do, worst case scenario, and be on the lookout, because that'll be next week, and that'll be...
Yep, but we've got a lot of other games coming down in the future we want to talk about before the end of the year. We're going to hit Call of Duty. We'll probably hit PUBG at some point. Mario Odyssey. Did we talk about that recently?
We did. Way back.
Okay,
we'll probably revisit Days Gone whenever it gets closer. There's a bunch of games we've talked about early when we just kind of heard the mentions of it, but not a lot on it, that we'll probably revisit whenever we get some more material to go off of. But a lot of good things to look forward to this year, and I've been loving this series. It's a lot of fun to do. It's not stressful.
It's a ton of fun to do, and thank you for asking me to do this with you. I look forward to this. Seriously, I really look forward to recording with you. I look forward to listening to it every week when it comes out.
Oh, it's a lot of fun to do. It's a ton of fun. It's real easy. In case you didn't know, like me and Jay, up until this point, had never really recorded anything solo with just me and him.
So we did stuff with this guy. His name is John. Way back in the day.
Was it Dick Dixon? Is that
Dick Dixon?
Is that who it was?
Richard Richardson.
Yeah, but with that guy, and so we kind of never really knew how this was going to turn out. But just it never had any problems. Like hardly ever script anything, for that matter. If you want a behind the scenes thing, about the closest thing we get is, hey, here's 3 topics to talk about.
Yeah, and it's literally like minutes before we record. I don't know. We'll talk about more behind the scenes stuff next week on episode 10. Thank you guys for watching. Hope you come back next week. It's gonna be a good time. Boobies.
Boobies. We'll see you there with the boobs.
Disclaimer, there will not be boobs in next week's episode. Some restrictions apply. Results may vary.